All right, welcome. I just going to ask you guys some questions, but I figure you guys will kind of chat amongst yourselves. Let's go around just so we know everybody's name and maybe say your name. And then I'm assuming you guys are all veterans, so maybe just a quick blurb about what you did, and then how you were involved in the project. Can we do that really quickly, just so we have a basis for everyone? Whoever wants to go first, I'm just going to let you guys have at it.
Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm still active duty Army. I'm serving as a military intelligence systems maintainer, 35 Tango. On this project, I was one of the front end engineers. So I was working on building the web app on React.
Okay. And Jonathan's your first name. What's your last name?
Jonathan Baldera.
Aldera. Okay, great. Who's next?
All right, I guess I'll jump in. My name is Zane Stickle. I actually did 20 years in the Navy, so I'm the old guy on the team probably. I studied computer science way back in college, but then the Navy didn't care about that at all and had me do a whole bunch of other things. And then I found actually transitioning. I wanted to get back into tech, and I found it to be pretty challenging actually. And so found Operation Code and have just found that to be a cool community. And had a really great time this weekend. Good linking up with this group. Didn't know any of them before the weekend started.
Awesome. Next.
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest takeaways is definitely just networking with one another, and kind of just seeing. I mean, it's a tech community. You just grow it more and more, and just kind of just follow, just see where everyone leads up. Because everyone here in this room right now could be that potential, network you might need somewhere down the line.
Awesome. Who's next?
I'll wait you out.
DJ, you want to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yo, first of all, I'm sorry for the technical difference. Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. I did the infantry thing, a little bit of 0311, a little bit of 0317. Got out. I went to a coding boot camp. I went to Sabio, the greatest coding boot camp there ever was. And I met Jamil, and they really helped me get into tech and do stuff. And on this project, I was doing a little bit of the front end, a little bit of the back end, working with everyone.
Awesome.
What is 0317 again?
I don't know. Look it up.
Fair answer.
Yeah. And I'm just friends with DJ. I actually, did not have the honor of serving, but a lot of my family members, in my family are part of military. I support it. And I'm just good friends with DJ, and we always bounce ideas off each other to kind of create stuff. But I do have a background in SaaS, been part of like several startups and that have gotten acquired and stuff. So
awesome.
A great opportunity being a part of this virtual hackathon, my first one.
Yeah, and then I guess I'm Stedman. I was a Army. I did the scout thing. I ended up going to V school for my full stack, and then from there I drank the UX design Kool-Aid. And so on this project here, I was flexing as like a product designer and UX designer, and then just essentially just kind of hung out and just annoyed everybody. That's pretty much it.
There was an epic thing
He's
that
just
Stedman
waiting
and
it
I
out.
did, where we found out there was like an error in the frame IO thing, where we would just start a whole bunch of share screens and like we would just leave them in like block everyone's view from everybody. That was hilarious.
Okay, awesome. All right, so how did you guys find out about this hackathon? Anyone?
Yeah, I found out about it through Operation Code. Jamil was great at advertising it on there and putting it out there. So that's how I found out about it. And as someone that was just learning, I really wanted to start working with others so that I can continue to build my skills and collaborate, right? I think a big part of learning is learning how to work with others in engineering tasks, and it was amazing.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
for
and
me.
I also
Code
heard.
Slack. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh my bad, dude. Yeah, I also heard from Jamil. This is I went through two other of his hackathons, and so just kind of through Operation Code and then LinkedIn and stuff, I just kind of knew it was kind of coming down the wire. So I was like, cool, I'm in.
Yeah, I also found out through Operation Code, and I was seeing some stuff that Jamil was posting.
Awesome. What? Okay. And now, what? Just from my background, what is Operation Code? What is it?
So Operation Code is a community of veterans or people that support veterans, so military spouses, military families, and even just friends of the military community that all get together that are helping veterans navigate their way into tech through tech and being supportive in that career change. Um, it's a great community to find resources, mentors, or to just find a group to fit in with as a veteran.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So what is it about hackathons? Why do you guys like hackathons? What do you think the benefit of hackathons are? Just, in general, what do you think? Anyone else want to answer before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier, you're starting to work with all these other people that have their specialties. I mean, seeing DJ doing crazy stuff on the back end, seeing Stedman putting out all these crazy designs that looked amazing. Zane, easy, all of us just honing in on our crafts and seeing us do our work and collaborating together. I think that's such a special thing because you, software engineering is such a wide, or technology is just such a wide topic that if everything's not working together and everyone's not working together, it's almost impossible to create something that's really functional.
So how did your group come together? Did Jamil put you guys together, or how did you come together? What's the story?
So this is a funny thing. So I actually put this on a Slack channel. Uh, we were all pretty lost in uh, the frame virtual reality world, and we just all met up in this conference and was like, "Hey, do you guys know what your team is? No, you don't know what your team is. Do you know what team you're on?" And we're like, "All right, let's just form a team." So I guess frame is good for collaborating with lost people.
Yeah, I stumbled into the conference room. I was like, this must be my team. Surely I finally found my team. And none of them were on my team, but you know, then they were about 10 minutes later. So it worked out pretty good.
Okay, so your group is called, is it Vome? Vome? Is there a meaning behind that? You have to clue me in. What's going on there?
I had nothing to do with this.
So, we were brainstorming ideas for names, and one of the biggest things that we were brainstorming about when we first created. Oh, thanks, DJ.
You're
Yo, I'm
in.
here.
Oh, it's here.
Just in time to tell the story, the origin story of
Yep.
the name Team Vome.
Oh man, me tell it.
Yeah, why don't you do it? Now that
You don't have to
you
start
got
again.
it great.
Who actually?
Sorry.
Yeah, who threw Vome out there? Was it you?
I didn't throw it out
Remember,
there.
this is recorded.
Oh,
That was me.
was it you?
I
Okay,
put the
well,
name out there.
maybe you should keep going with the origin story.
I mean, so I mean, DJ was the one that came up with the idea for
Dropping
the whole
dimes.
platform, right? I mean, he's the one that was like, I want to work on this app and everything, and one of the big things that we constantly kept on hitting was like homeless veterans and everything. So in my head, it's just like veterans v home, boom, just quick, simple, easy to remember, work
Just
together,
don't-
and
Yeah.
everyone jumped on it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
We
you guys,
like in the
you guys,
beginning, Easy and I had been talking, and we were like, "Yo, like the metaverse, like where stuff is everywhere, and you can see VR through and everything." But let's just throw these. We were thinking about history and like putting places on a map so you could see different points on a map through time. And then we were like, well, how do we make this relevant to veterans? And then we were like, let's plot all the wars across time on a map.
Mhm.
And then we're like, okay, cool, but like this hackathon's about humanity and like with the Afghan situation, and we're like, okay, crap. And then we just were talking, and we were like, well, there's a lot of issues with veterans trying to find resources, and we were like, veterans need a home. Veterans need a home. Boom. and
God almighty.
we basically kind of morphed the idea. We did some pivots and landed on boom.
okay. Well, you started to lead into what the idea was and what you guys created, but let's go back and just make sure we get it all there. So what is it that you created? What was it? Tell me about it.
All right, who's got it? Should we send it to the designer for this one? No.
We so from my recollection, like I'm gonna bounce off of a DJ. 'Cause I know Zane, you really brought in the part of the humanitarian aspect. But one of the reasons why DJ and I or DJ invited me to this was because we're already working on something that is map related, where we could plot history and eventually create like a historical metaverse where people could essentially go back in time through their phone. That's kind of like what we were talking about. And so, we came to this hackathon, and I didn't know there was a theme. Zane came in, and he liked the idea, but he was like, "But let's do something humanitarian for the vets, right?" And so he came in with the whole homeless veterans idea, and we were talking. Everyone really collaborated and added their 2 cents. Honestly, we were just we spent a lot of time actually trying to flesh out this idea. Stedman was leading with the UI UX of it too, and trying to find the users and how we could help connect resources. It ended up landing on connecting resources around where veterans are, and with a focus on all veterans, but with a focus with homeless veterans. At least that's how it started. But Zane, you could fill in any gaps that I left.
Yeah, no, I think you got it pretty good. And something else that I think we talked about a lot at first was, and I know we were sort of going off into like let's start coding, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody pulled us back and sort of said like, who are our users? And I think that was probably the key to how we were able to move forward. I'm not sure who that was.
Stedman.
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah, but anyways, that was like oh yeah, we should figure out who our users, and like we had a good talk about like, hey, actually the veterans who might be in most need could have a really hard time using any app, so you got to make it like very simple and maybe something that someone could sort of bring to them, like, hey, I'm having a chat with a veteran, let me pull something up here and I can show you what's all around you. Or even, down the line, not something we implemented, but as a feature, like, we could start sort of keeping track of veterans that could be in need via an app like this or something like that. So, and then our other user is the person that wants to help. So we definitely had to have an onboarding sort of mechanism where they could put in, hey, this is the type of thing I can bring. So that's one aspect to this, and then their services or resources they could bring would be plotted. And then we did a little bit of sort of on the back end. We wanted to be able to hit some APIs and pull in some publicly available data. So we looked around for some data sets and pulled some. I think we pulled in like veteran medical centers as kind of the primary data set that we pulled in, but we could definitely go from there and pull in a whole bunch of stuff. So that's kind of how it works.
Let's talk a little bit about time management, because with this, right, time is the key, and you guys only had a couple days to put this together, if 2 days. I'm not
Is
even
this
sure how
breaking
many
up for you
hours. Maybe
guys?
we should give the hours.
3 days. Yeah.
3 days? 3 days to do it? Really? Okay. All right. So, I mean, how did you guys divide up the workload? Like, because you all have to kind of be working on something a little bit separate, right? And then come and bring the whole project together. So let's just talk about workflow and how that worked out for you guys.
I think that just happened really good because as we were collaborating, we all identified roles that we could all fit into, right? So, Stedman was like, "Oh, I'll do UI UX." DJ Easy, Zane backend. I was like, "Hey, I want to work with React. I've been learning React for the past couple weeks." So I think just dividing up our roles and seeing what people wanted to work on, what people were interested on, as people are more interested in those things, they're gonna navigate towards it naturally. So I think that's kind of just what happened in our team, and gladly all these people just met up in a virtual conference room with all these different interests, and that's what made our team work, because we all liked different aspects, and we all needed to work together. And I think at the end of the day, we would talk. We weren't hard on each other, because we were all tracking each other's situations as stuff was coming up. I know people were very patient with me as I was moving throughout this process, but just putting in the time and collaborating. Frame was great for that because as we were coding up, we could ask each other questions as we're coding and working on all of our different parts of this project.
So, what were some of the resources that you guys used to collaborate on, right? So, you guys had a Slack channel, obviously, right? And did you guys get together within Frame? Were there different rooms? I wasn't really going, from room to room. So, were you guys in one of those rooms as well? Or like, how did you guys communicate with each other throughout this process?
Definitely through Slack, and Frame. Really, like I know I spent a lot of time in one of the Frame rooms. I think it was the original room where we all met up. So I spent a lot of time there. And then also, just a side note to your last question is that we also are a distributed team from East Coast to West Coast and everywhere in between. So, some of us were working in different time zones and hours and stuff like that. And so we had to manage that as well.
Okay. Anybody
And I
else
think
want
it,
to add anything? Yeah, go ahead.
And I think a tool like it's a tool that I use daily is Figma. And to me,
Oh yeah.
I love the heck out of it. And I believe that there was a handful of these guys that it was their first exposure to using Figma and everything else. And then so not only just being able to have like the front end guys look at the designs and then code from that, but we also had there was also times where we were as a team collaborating on the actual canvas, trying to say, hey, yeah, move this here, or here's an idea, or hey, we need this information or whatever else. So Figma is definitely a big source of collaboration as well, aside from just communication.
Did
It's
it all?
a repo too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, making commits and pull requests and all that stuff, which is a good experience for me because I don't have a ton of experience working in GitHub with the team, so that was really fun for me.
Cool.
Yeah, and in the beginning too, we were trying to be like, what roles can we do and stuff. and it was literally like, hey, who's can do front end stuff? And Jonathan was like, yo, I can do some front end stuff. And like, we were like, what are you familiar with? And he's like, React. And I came into this not even knowing React. I know like more like Vue and Angular stuff, but I wanted to learn some stuff like on the fly. And so I was like, cool, Jonathan can just set up a template, get something on GitHub for the front end. And I was talking to Zane, and I was like, hey, man, what do you want to do for the back end? We talked about Mongo, and he was talking about like hosting the stuff on AWS. And we were like, whoa, okay, I mean, yeah, we can do that. But I feel like we should start off smaller and like get a back end up and like just to be able to talk to the front end, and then we can worry about that later. And then so we just kind of all like got in there and started learning, and like Easy was like, yo, what can I do? And we're like, dude, we need some data. What's some data that we can throw on the map? And then like Stedman was like, all right, well, I'll just hop on the UX, but I also know React, so I'll help you guys with React. And so like it was literally pitching everything together. And then Ernest came in late, and I was like, bro, I'm sorry, I didn't even pay attention to Ernest, but I was like, dude, we need. It would have been way better if we got Ernest more involved, but we all just kind of like hit the ground running and like just started throwing stuff together, and we were just like learning as we went.
No, and I got to make a remark on that too. Like, also, like I said, most of these guys, I felt like they were also seemed like everyone was trying to do something that mess with something they haven't messed with before. They were either trying React or they were trying some sort of package in there. But every single one of these guys, like, and this is like, I don't know if this is the veteran thing or what, but like, legitimately, these guys, like, they knew they were stepping into something that they didn't know how to use, and they just didn't flinch at it. They were like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get in there and check out how to do it, and like. And then all of a sudden you start seeing them put it together and seeing them like, well, you can't see them, but you can hear them like cheering and yelling in the background and everything else. And it's like, man, this is just too gnarly, So, and yeah, this team, man, they did pretty doggone good.
So, was there anything that happened as you guys were piecing all this together?
Yeah.
Like any
I was
stumbling
just
block?
like
I'm sure
sitting there
maybe a lot, actually.
being like, what the heck is use effect? Why can't I
Yeah.
just get these environment variables to show up on my freaking React thing? So it was a big
Yeah.
learning experience for me.
Yeah. Jamil has a good question here. The toughest technical problem you came across. What would you say?
I mean, for me on the front end, I was having some issues with Flexbox and just making sure that everything looked nice on the layout. But I know there was way more bigger issues on the back end.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Looks like DJ's gonna say something, man.
DJ, did you hear the question?
No, I didn't. I can't hear Sonny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
I'll
you're
relay.
fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You got a relay coming. I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a technical challenge, but I can say like when I jumped into, so DJ put up the server and so I'm somewhat familiar with GraphQL, but like the framework that he used, I wasn't familiar with at all, Apollo. And I was pretty intimidated by that and was like, I don't even know if I can help at all. And like just threw up some models and then started doing some scripts that help feed some data and try to help out where I could. But like, I think just kind of back to that, it not really a tech challenge, but like knowing that the time is short and thinking like, I don't know if I can sort this framework out and even be helpful. That was like a blogger I had to get over. And then I think I did contribute after that. So kind of back to that theme of the team, just like jumping into stuff we didn't quite know, and it was good because it was definitely a good tech stack to use for this, for speed, for sure. And I might have gone a different way if I had to choose, but just based on familiarity, but it ultimately probably taught me a lot more. So it was great.
This wasn't really a technical challenge. This was more of a usability challenge. I remember on, I think it was Friday, when Stedman was pulling up the Figma file, one of the ideation conversations we had is how do we make it easy for veterans? So at first there was going to be a landing page, then we scrapped that and make it directly to the map. And then we were talking through, how would a veteran choose what they need, right? And so then it reminded me of another Figma file that I created a long time ago, and it had like this idea where instead of trying to find like a center, because like that you could find centers on Google, maybe we could go down a little bit more deeper by saying, what do they need? Do they need a shirt? Do they need food? Do they need like a ride or something like that? But the cool thing was, because I'm fairly new with the UI UX thing myself, and the cool thing that I learned in this experience was really really thinking about the user, and like the icons were cool and stuff that I had on that other file, but in terms of usability, it might not resonate well with the end user. In this case, being the veteran, because they don't have time. Like if they're in need, they don't have time to like look at nice UX, like little icons that are colorful and stuff like that. They just need to get their stuff. They need to get what they need in crisis and stuff. And that was really something that I'm coming out of this weekend thinking, oh yeah, like how do we, sometimes I like to design stuff that's like nice looking, but that is not always the thing that is the best used, or the most usable, so that was something I definitely learned.
Nice, man.
I know on the front end, you know, I came in on Saturday and as they needed the they needed the data
Anybody
to
else?
plot the points and make the services work on the back end. So I was planning on doing the forms on Saturday, finishing the forms out on Saturday, but it was already done and it was different for like the design and everything. So that was just like a quick change that I had to like adapt to as I created the other pages. Um, so, because as a hackathon, people are just pushing up code as whenever they can, so that we can get this thing up as fast as possible. So yeah, I had to, deal with design changes that were different from and modify stuff so that I can make stuff more responsive as they were just tacking stuff on together.
I'm curious, have you guys thought about where to move the project moving forward?
I guess I'll jump in. I don't think we've talked about it as a team. I was talking about with DJ, like, hey, it'd be cool if this doesn't just die, as we punch out. And we had talked a little about like at the beginning, like the very ambitious, what could this thing become? One of those things was just deploying it. So we kind of talked about maybe linking back up and going through, um, getting the thing deployed. So a little bit, not really as a team, but we've definitely kind of broached the subject of where we could go.
Yeah, there's like online accelerators you can take it into for free and kind of work on it on the side. I know a popular one called Pioneer.app where you can come in as a team. It's all remote, asynchronous, and you compete with other sort of projects